Hello everyone and welcome back to the Retro Recall. I hope you're doing awesome. Today we have the custom Pentium 200 computer back on the bench. This has Windows 98, which means it has real DOS mode, and it is DOScember, so I figured I would do another DOS related video. That said, my last DOS related video I just did right there, the EGA Trek video, there was a comment left below on one of the comments that I had made during the video. When I was going through the DOSBox list, I had mentioned Star Trek Unity. And there was a comment left saying, do you mean Star Trek Final Unity? And the answer is absolutely yes, and I had replied that. Now, Star Trek Final Unity is a game that I had growing up. I really wanted, a big Star Trek fan, still am today, and I really wanted to get that. So here we are with a sealed copy of Star Trek The Next Generation of Final Unity. This is something that I found at a yard sale, and it says $25 on the sticker. I don't even think I paid that for it. And when I saw it, of course, I was absolutely ecstatic because, when I was younger, I didn't care about box games back then. I literally bought the game, have my original copy, and probably threw the box out, which is surprising to me because I love Star Trek so much that I had kept everything else. So I don't know why I would have thrown that. Anyway, it's no longer around, but I was able to find an original copy, which was absolutely wonderful. And I just loved the shape of the box at the time, which really made it stand out on the shelves when it was, being displayed in retail. And so I really wanted it, got the game, came home, and I think at the time I had a 486DX4100 computer. I didn't have the Pentium yet. And so needless to say, we're going to show today about how fun it is to install this game because of the resources it requires. And we're going to go through a little bit of gameplay. So you know what? We have lots to do. Let's get right to it. And welcome back. And so there's the beautiful box again, just right there. The other thing I want to call out just before we continue is, if you remember in one of my thrift finds videos, I found this kind of collectible case shaped the same size as the box. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, I have the box at home. I'll put it inside this because it's the same shape. But yeah, it does not fit at all. It's actually the exact same shape as the box and size. So therefore, it just won't fit in it. So it must be for other things. I'm not sure if you would just take the contents of the box and put it in here. Anyway, regardless, it's really cool to have as part of the collection with that. So again, we're just going to put that aside for now. And so one of the things I had mentioned at the beginning of the intro, I had said that, when I got home when I was younger to install this game, I struggled with it because it really resides in the low memory side of DOS and, the conventional memory. It requires you to squeeze every single byte that it requires in order for it to function, including trying to tweak your Config.sys and your Autoexec.bat to try to load all of your files high. Because if you don't, it won't run. It just says there's not enough conventional memory to run. And so we're going to just install it and see what that experience was like in today's video. So I'm going to turn the computer on, and because I already have Windows 98 installed on this computer, I'm just going to tap the F8 key just so it gives us the kind of like the boot menu option. And this computer has 128 megabytes of RAM, Pentium 200, and I believe I have extra cache memory installed here as well, the Coast module. But yeah, so we're just going to hit F8 here. There we are. We'll go command prompt only. It's going to load the standard stuff that I have installed in the computer. And I already have the CD in the drive, so we're just going to go to D drive. And you'll see I'll hit DIR so you can see it, but we have the copy of the Final Unity in there. So there we are. So we're going to just type in install. This is by Spectrum Holobyte. So there we are. So it says view and print README, install game, make boot disk, and exit installer. I do want to call out the README because this is something that I completely ignored when I was younger. I think when I went and built this machine a couple years ago, and wanted to play this game, I also ignored it. And it caused me a lot of heartache because there's some good information in here about memory managers and virtual memory and how to use it. So basically it tells you install a memory manager, or if you're using certain type of memory managers, to do certain changes and fixes and what have you with it. So I'm going to leave this out just for reference because I don't remember a lot of what I had done back in the day, so we're going to be doing this together. The other thing I want to call out is a boot disk. So one of the easiest things, because I have other things running on this computer that I do want it to use as much, the conventional memory is there for a reason. So it's loading up the Config.sys and the Autoexec files. And there's certain things that require that I either run in DOS or run in Windows. So one of the things that it even has here as a recommendation is to make a boot disk. So I have a blank floppy disk here. I'm going to put in the floppy drive because essentially what I want to do is make that boot disk. As part of making the boot disk, it creates the most efficient configuration it can to be able to move forward. So it will load all your config.sys and your autoexec files that it requires in kind of a minimal state to be able to run the game. So I'm just going to click on Make Boot Disk before we even do anything. Hit OK. And it says, please insert a floppy into drive A and click OK when hit Enter. We'll do that. And so right now it's making a boot disk. Okay, so it's completed making the boot disk. Now we're going to eject the disk. Actually, we're going to leave the disk in because I'm going to click on Exit Installer for now. And we're going to restart the computer utilizing that boot disk just to see what it actually created as part of the config and autoexec.bat files. There we are. So we have our D and our E drives, but the CD is currently in the D drive. Let's go to mem for a moment. I'm just going to see what memory is being used. So we have 640 conventional memory. 87 of it is being used, leaving us 553. I'm not exactly sure what is the requirement, but we're going to find that out in a moment. Go to D drive. I'm going to type install. It should load up the game installer again. And here we are. So we're going to click on Install Game and hit OK. Here are the options here. So we have View and Print README, which is still stressing, by the way, and every time I always ignored it. But it says Install Minimal, Standard, Optimal, 14 megabytes required. I think we're good. So we'll click on Install Optimal Version and hit OK. So it says it's checking extended memory, checking CD-ROM speed. So it's essentially doing a system check. Here we are. So it says here, our processors 486 required, detected as a Pentium, files and buffers 2020. So 3020 is what I have currently set up in the config.sys file. Our Visa driver, yes. Our conventional memory is 416K. We have 552 free. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier about the files and buffers. It is important to create that in your config.sys file in order for it to work in this kind of setup. So here we have extended memory requires 5 meg, and of course we have more than that. And then math coprocessor, yes, so that's critical as well. Mouse drivers, yes. Our CD-ROM speed is fine. DOS version 5, we have version 7, and then hard drive space it checks later. It doesn't have any sort of suggest fix options here because everything seems to be working fine. So we're going to hit OK. And which hard drive? We're going to do C drive, 323 megabytes free. We'll hit OK. And we'll install it to this folder. This just brings back a lot of memories from when I was a kid installing this game. And back then, like I said, I didn't do the steps I just did because, creating the boot disk and letting it do it properly, because I ran into so many problems and was so frustrated trying to get this game going, but because of the conventional memory that it requires in DOS. And anybody who experienced this game in the past would know that it was quite difficult to get going if you didn't know your way around the config.sys and the autoexec.bat files. And it's funny, instructions, right? It has a README for a reason. All right, let's continue on here. So here we are all installed, and it gives us some instructions here. It says the installation is finished. The game has been installed to directory C:\sttng. To run the game, change to the hard drive by typing C:, go into the game directory, and then type in the directory exe file. So we have a couple options now that it's been installed. We can go to Configure Hardware, set game options, and exit and save configuration. We're going to click on Configure Hardware and hit OK. So we're going to set up our sound card. All right, and I'm going to click on Auto Detect, and it says that we have a Sound Blaster 16 stereo, so port 220, IRQ5, DMA5. I'm going to click on Sound Test just so we know. So we're not hearing Captain Picard saying, make it so. You will not hear any sound in the game. So we did not hear any sound. Oh, I just did. Okay. I think it's because it wanted me to hit OK first. Let's click on sound test again and hit OK.
Make it so.
So we did hear Captain Picard. A little low, but we'll turn the volume up here in a moment. Okay, the volume's all turned up. Let's do another sound test.
Make it so.
Okay, so that's good. It just makes a world of difference if you have genuine Sound Blaster 16 compatible hardware, because when these games are written around that stuff. So important to have. Okay, click on OK, because I already did all that for us. Hit OK. Now we're going to click on video mode. I'm going to click on auto detect. So it says here 640 by 480, 65536 colors, and hit OK. So we're going to click on OK here. If you do not see a picture of the Enterprise after this dialog box, you will not see any graphics in the game. All right. I don't know about you, but I see a picture of the Enterprise. Now, it is a little out of sync, but I think it has to do with this monitor I'm using. And again, I'm using this monitor only because it's easier than having to fight with the recording of the CRT. So here we are, auto adjustment. It's perfect. Okay, we'll exit out of that. All right, so we have our video mode set up. We have our sound card mode set up. Return to previous menu. We'll hit OK. And set game options. It's going to OK. So set difficulty. Let's go. We're an ensign, lieutenant, or captain. I'm going to go ensign just for the sake of what we're demoing today. And we'll return to previous menu. And then exit and save configuration. OK. So we're good. We're going to click on exit installer and hit OK again. I'm going to show everyone the Config.sys files and the Autoexec files as well, because this game really requires the EMM386 and HiMem files to be added in here, the lines to be added in. So the key ones that I have here are device equals C Windows HiMem.sys, as well as device equals C :/Windows EMM386.exe or space no EMS. And then, of course, our mouse and our CD. The other thing is DOS. So we're loading DOS in the high memory area equals hi, UNB. Our file's 30 and our buffer's 20, which we saw this particular attribute when we went to install the game itself. So it's very important you have these. Otherwise, if you don't have these installed, the HiMem.sys and the EMM386, then it will not load the game correctly. When you load DOS4 GW, it just comes up and says corrupted or fatal error, because it's not able to load up the proper files. So essentially, with those there, you are good to go. And the same thing with the Autoexec.bat. I mean, there's not much there in terms of memory configuration, but it is important to make sure your MSCDX is correct, to make sure that it does load the CD. ROM drivers, essentially, so that it can find the CD-ROM in DOS, as well as when you're setting your set blaster, you make sure all your information's in there. Obviously, we installed the game. This was correct. It was able to detect all that. Okay, now that that's done, and I didn't pull all my hair out this time trying to install this game, because when I was younger, I definitely did. So when I type in mem now, it does have the extended memory available, and I'm able to run the game here, but it's only because of the fact that I do have those two memory managers running, and it allows me to run this game. Without that, it would not function. Okay, I'm going to go to C drive, and you can see we were already on our directory from before, and we're going to go into the game. I'm just going to kind of arrange this a little bit so you have a better view of the monitor, and make sure the volume is better for what we're going to do. So let's go.
Captain's log, stardate 47111.1. A Federation listening post along the Romulan neutral zone has detected an unidentified vessel headed for Federation space. The Enterprise is moving to intercept.
At its reported heading and velocity, the vessel will enter Federation space in approximately 47.3 seconds.
Go to yellow alert. We have the vessel on sensors.
The ship is a Garidian scout ship. They are driving their engines too hard. Their warp core is critical.
The Garidians. What is the status of their relationship with the Romulan Empire?
They are on friendly terms and may share technology.
We are being hailed. On screen.
Help us. We are fleeing political persecution. We seek asylum. We are being harmed.
Their signal is breaking up. What do you make of this, number one?
It could be a trick.
The Garidians have earned a reputation as honorable warriors, Captain. They do not ordinarily resort to trickery.
We are within visual range. The Garidian's warp drive is failing. They are dropping to sublight speed inside Federation space.
Slow to impulse. Warbird decloaking directly ahead. The Warbird is also Garidian. They are hailing us.
This is an internal Garidian matter. Withdraw at once.
You are violating Federation space. They have cut off transmission.
The Warbird has locked its tractor beam onto the scout ship.
Go to red alert. Captain's log supplemental. A Garidian warbird has violated the neutral zone in pursuit of a scout ship. The fugitives may be seeking political asylum, but as yet we have been unable to confirm their intentions. Mr. Worf, your analysis.
The Garidian warbird is similar to the Romulan Diderot X class. It is less maneuverable than the Enterprise, but it has slightly more firepower.
We'd both take a beating if it came down to a fight.
Our records identify the warbird as the Asirim, commanded by Captain Pintara. Starfleet intelligence rates her as a capable but unimaginative tactician.
Any insights, Counselor?
The Garidian captain is torn about something, as if she were faced with a difficult dilemma.
She has violated the neutral zone.
It's more than that. I think she has a personal stake in this matter.
What do you think, number one?
The Garidians respect strength. If we show any sign of weakness, it might just encourage them to fight.
What do you suggest?
Maybe we can use our phasers until they listen to reason.
That may be too strong an action. Mr. Worf, lock phasers onto the warbird, but hold your fire.
Aye, sir. They are locking their disruptors on us.
Mr. Data, do you have any suggestions?
As long as the Warbird maintains a tractor beam on the scout ship, we cannot beam its crew aboard. However, if we maneuvered the Enterprise between the ships, we could temporarily disrupt the tractor beam.
We will have to drop our shields to use the transporter.
We'll have to take that risk. Make it so.
We have broken the Garidian's tractor beam. The crew of the scout ship has been beamed aboard.
Captain, the warbird is hailing us.
So I'm going to interrupt for a moment here. As you can see, the game itself is pretty advanced for the mid-90s when this game originally came out. And, you know, being a young me, I just loved playing this game. There's just so much to it. There's so much not being shown so far because you get to go into this as you're utilizing the game. One of the things I picked up on this system is something I do remember is full motion video, FMV content, is stored on the optical drive, on the CD. So when it's accessing that, unfortunately, it is having to spin back up the CD-ROM drive, spin up, and as a result, it's accessing the data. So you see that kind of pause as we're going through. And if you notice, it gives us options. You know, you saw it earlier. I could have fired phasers at the beginning. I didn't because that would instantly go into a firefight, and I didn't want to do that just yet because I want to show more of the game. Everything that you do has a different path in the game. Ultimately, you can take different directions to get to the same output. So even if we went through the battle, we could still potentially have gone to this step. However, let's continue on. And so in this particular case, they're hailing us, and I can either go on screen to be, you know, hey, we can communicate and talk through. I click on ignore that just to have a little bit of fun. Let's see what happens.
Ignore that.
They are firing.
Evasive maneuvers.
A Garidian ship is on sensors, blocking movements. Torpedo away. We are being
You and
hailed.
I are not finished, Picard. I promised you that.
We have been hit.
I salute you, Captain. You have been a worthy adversary.
Targeting Garidian warbird.
The Garidian ship has been destroyed.
So here I am
Alert canceled. Condition green.
under engineering just to see and see if there's any sort of damage to the Enterprise, and there's not in this case. We do have Delegate on, so we have Commander LaForge currently looking after everything for me, but you can set it to manual, so you can do Delegate on or off if I wanted to go and choose to manually do all these things myself, and I don't at the time. And so in here, as you're in battle, it allows you to go and choose different things, essentially do damage control and concentrate your efforts and your resources on repair of certain things. And as things get damaged, these green rings turn red depending on what system is being affected. So in this particular case, you have shields, and it shows you right now there's minimal power, and you can see the power starting to lower because we're not in red alert right now, so we're good. It's really cool that it shows you all the different stats of the shields and things like that. But again, the game is pretty well thought out. And I'm going to go back to tactical for a moment, because we were just there, and there's currently nothing in the sector that we're seeing, but I could raise shields, I could lock weapons. I didn't do much there. I just kept on firing phasers and torpedoes, but you could actually go in and tell what phasers and what torpedoes and what strengths to fire at. The same thing with torpedoes. That's important later on in the game because there's certain things that don't require full power because you don't want to destroy them. In this particular case, I could have taken the time to disable the Garidian ship instead of destroying it. Now, here's the catch. Because I've done that now in the game, it will be increasingly more difficult. So as I'm going to my mission and doing my mission and traveling through space, cloaked ships now will start to attack me as I'm traveling and trying to do my mission. If I had done the diplomatic way at the beginning, so this is where the paths in the game can change. If I had done the diplomatic way, I could have potentially avoided hassle for myself later down the road. But again, I'm just doing this for the sake of the video for today, but I want to just kind of walk you through that. And then same thing with damage. So you go to damage and it shows you different areas that could be potentially damaged when you're actually going through the fight scene, and then you're able to jump back and forth between engineering and assign resources, as I mentioned earlier. Also, under tactics, you're actually able to go in and say, I want to engage a certain tactic. So you can see I'm moving around. I'm just doing it says hard break 360. I can do different loops. These are all different tactics as you're in battle that you can tell the computer. It's like evasive maneuvers, right? So you're able to go that. Weapons maneuvers, hitman, engage. So you can see how the ship's turning around, and I'm able to fire both torpedoes. Well, I'm not able to do it right now because I'm not at red alert, but you're able to do that. Now, if you click on sensors, here, ideally, if there's another ship, you'd be able to see the condition of their ship as well. So we're going to head back to the bridge.
Captain, our new arrivals are requesting to speak with you. Their names are Lucana, Avakar, and Tabak.
So right now I'm being asked what to do. So I can either consider the situation further or set course for the Ruinacor sector. So we're going to set course for now.
Set course for the Ruinor sector and resume our patrol along the neutral zone.
Yes, sir.
Engage.
Okay, so we're heading along now, Warp 5, just going on our original mission. I'm going to click on Bridge for a moment, because here you're able to do different things. So here you're able to talk to different people and get suggestions.
Mr. Worf, your analysis.
Captain, we should check our orders from Starfleet. Captain, we are receiving an emergency transmission from Simco 4.
Simco 4? Isn't there a research center there?
Yes, sir. The work at Merton's orbital station focuses on power generation. The researchers there are among the best in the Federation.
On screen. This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. How can we be of help?
Captain Picard, I am Daneb, Chancellor of Simco. We are in need of immediate assistance. Merton's orbital station has been attacked by an unknown vessel and does not answer our hails.
Attacked? But the station is a purely scientific facility.
Is the attacking vessel still present?
We do not know. Whoever or whatever they were, our sensors did not detect them.
Perhaps it was a cloaked Romulan vessel.
I doubt the Romulans would venture this far into Federation territory. The risks are too great.
Captain, you must hurry. The attack has destabilized the station's experimental power core. We don't know how long we have until a core breach. But I can tell you the resulting energy release and radiation would be catastrophic.
What about survivors? Did anyone get off the station?
We detected several escape pods, but we haven't recovered them yet. The pods we detected could hold only a few dozen. There are hundreds aboard the station, including families.
Set course for Simco 4. I hope it's not too late.
Thank you, Captain. I hope you arrive in time.
We'll do our best. Picard out. Dr. Crusher.
Crusher here.
Doctor, we may shortly be taking on a large number of wounded, possibly hundreds.
How much time have I got?
Not enough, I'm afraid. Picard out. Miss LaForge?
Yes, Captain.
We're en route to Merton's orbital station. They've been attacked, and they're going to need immediate assistance. See what you can find out about their experimental power core.
I'll see what I can dig up, but the Simconians do some advanced work. It may take a while to figure it all out.
Then I suggest you work quickly. Millions of lives on the planet's surface may be at stake. I expect a full analysis of the situation and our options as soon as we're within sensor range.
Yes, sir.
Engage.
Here we are heading to the Simco 4 section. So this is the next mission in the linear line. As I'm traveling a warp, it's very possible I'm going to be intercepted by a Geridian warbird. The other thing I want to call out is if you go into Conference Lounge where my little hand is, so these are action items, so I can talk to Riker, I can do different things. You see how the icon kind of changes? And we've reached the
Captain's log. We have arrived
station.
at the Simco system in response to a distress call regarding Merton's orbital station. The station was apparently attacked by unknown forces, leaving it in danger of a power core breach.
We are within sensor range of the Merton's orbital station, sir.
On screen. Miss LaForge?
LaForge here.
Report. What is the condition of the station?
You're looking at what's left of the Merton's orbital station, one of the largest research centers in the Federation. The focus of their work is on power generation. 5 years ago, they built the prototype of an experimental power core, and it's been running the station ever since.
Power generation studies? That doesn't warrant an...
I've been in contact with Starfleet headquarters. Power generation is only part of what this station studies. For several years, researchers here have been working on new ways to detect cloaked vessels.
If the Romulans discovered this, they might have risked a raid. The Simconians did not detect the attacking ship. It may have been cloaked.
That's speculation, Mr. Worf. We have no proof the Romulans were involved.
Well, whoever it was, something powerful punched through the station's shields and sliced off an entire research wing.
What do you mean, sliced off? There is insufficient debris in the area to indicate that the missing section was destroyed. It is possible the attackers simply removed it.
Geordi, could that be what destabilized the power core?
No, and that's what I can't figure out. Damage to the upper deck should only cause minor problems, but I'm reading serious power fluctuations. Maybe serious enough to breach the power core's containment field.
What will happen if the containment field fails?
I can't say for certain, but with the amount of energy that thing can put out, I wouldn't want to be around it when it goes.
Is there any way to shut down the core?
There's a fail-safe mechanism which is supposed to jettison the core automatically in an emergency.
I'd say this qualifies as an emergency. Why wasn't the core jettisoned?
The only way to prevent it is by manual override. Someone has to be there to stop it.
That means there's someone still alive in there. Data, are you picking up any life signs?
The station's shielding is interfering with our sensors. I cannot tell if any of the crew are still alive. However, life support is still functioning. But power readings indicate that it may fail at any time.
Dr. Crusher,
Crusher here.
we are nearing Merton's station. Are you prepared for casualties?
My staff is ready to do double shifts. We can handle about 330 emergency cases, but we'll have to beam the rest down to Simco.
Understood. What is your recommendation?
We can't do anything from here, but to get an away team aboard, we have to find a way through those shields.
I believe I have a solution. The station's upper shields are badly damaged. If we establish a lock on a transporter on the upper decks, a transporter beam could penetrate the weakened shields.
Once we're in, we should be able to jettison the power core. Then we could lower the station's shields and evacuate the wounded.
Very well, number one. Make it so.
Jordy, I want you and the rest of the away team ready to go in 20 minutes.
We'll be there in 10.
Okay, so we just set ourselves up for the next phase of this mission, which is going to the transporter. So one thing I wanted to call out before we do that is under the conference lounge. I'm going to click on that, and here I'm able to talk to the 3 survivors from the Geridian scout ship that we saved earlier. So I can choose to speak to Tabak, Lucana, and Avakar if I want to. I'm not going to right now for the video, but you can go in here and speak to them, and they'll give you a bunch more information. I let this whole thing play out just to kind of give everyone an experience of the game. If you actually use your mouse, you can go click, click, click just anywhere, and you can skip through their speeches. What's really awesome about this game that I really love as well is the fact they're using the original cast characters' voices in this game, which makes it even more authentic. So if I click on here under Turbo Lift, it will give me a list. So I have to go to engineering, I go to transporter, I go to the holodeck. The other thing I'll call out as well, if I click on data station here under
Primary
computer,
core access
this is the all
enabled.
cars menu. So I can go in
Systems
here,
online.
and it's like almost like an Omnipedia. I'm able to go in here and get a whole bunch of different information about the Enterprise, all the information about it's just really cool to go in and talk about the Enterprise hull, the systems that they have, engineering, computers, transport, weapons, so tactical. It gives you all the information as if it's like, you know, an Omnipedia, like I had mentioned before. And so I think that's a really cool feature of this game that they included. I'm going to go back to the bridge for a moment. So I'm going to go down to the transporter because that's essentially where the game wants you to take you next. So it shows the station here. It shows the away team
Beam
coming
down
back to.
coordinates selected.
So everyone's arriving now. And then it'll beam me down. And there we are. Now we've transported down to the station. I'm able to work with everyone that has transported down. So we have Riker, we have Kreischer, and we have LaForge and Worf. But by selecting the character down here, I'm able to tell them what to do. So I can click on LaForge, for example, and I can speak to him for suggestions.
We have to find the life support panel.
So I have to go find
the main control room.
I had to go to the main control room. So basically, we're going to have to get them to leave this room and leave the door. I'm not going to do that right now because the intention of the scope of today's video was to get the game installed, to be able to show everybody the config.sys file with the high memory, as well as show some of the gameplay. And I think we've successfully done that. So it's really cool to be able to do different things. I can click on my comm badge so I can contact the ship itself. I can choose phaser. I can go to, so I use the hand function. I can click on use the phaser, and where do I want a phaser at?
I don't think that's a good idea.
It's telling me it's not a good idea. Like you shouldn't be shooting at things, right? So you can try different things. I can walk around. I can read certain computer consoles.
From this console, we can do point-to-point beaming inside the station's shields.
Right. So it's giving me some hints as I look at things and explore.
All primary subsystems are down. Inertial dampers, life support. They're telling how long until these power surges overload the backups. We'd better hurry.
So essentially, this is a point-and-click game, right? That's what we're doing in this, and this the gameplay of the game. But it's just a really cool game. I just always loved it. And here we are. We're at the end of the video, and you know, this game I could play for hours. There's so much content to this game. There's a lot of walkthroughs online too as well. I really encourage, if you don't have this, DOSBox does support this with some tweaks. There's lots of tutorials online to be able to walk you through. My best kind of feeling and experience is when I'm using it on genuine hardware. You know, I did run EGA Trek and DOSBox in my last video, but for this game, even though I do have it set up in DOSBox, I really wanted to walk through the installation today with everybody and show everybody, hoping that I might be able to overcome some of the challenges that some people would have trying to install this game. But I feel, like I said before, it's very advanced for the time that this game came out. Being able to use this game back in 94, 95, having the original cast voices made a huge difference for me. It felt like I was part of the game, and you know, it was really challenging. You know, I'm in a different screen now that you didn't see me in a moment ago. I can play this for hours because there's just so much, and there's so many different nuances to the game, specifically if you're going to choose different options. So different paths, different decisions, everything has an impact. It will always get to the next stage, but how difficult it is to get there depends on your choices. So I think that's pretty darn neat to have in a game. And again, having a sealed copy in my collection, I absolutely love it. I have no idea what that's for, the case. So if you know what that is, please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, if you had one of these, I'd be really excited to hear all about it. In the end, I want to recommend this game highly to anybody who's interested in this type of game. The point and click kind of walkthrough from the early days when DOS gaming was definitely something that was really in the mainstream of things. And again, I highly recommend Star Trek Next Generation of Final Unity. Really exciting, really fun game, and you'll get lost in it for hours. That said, if you like today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. Hit the notification button, change it to all. You'll be notified of new content such as this. Please leave a comment down below. Did you own Star Trek Next Generation of Final Unity? Did you run through the same challenges I had with the memory errors and trying to get tweaking the Config.sys and the Autoexec.bat files to get this game working? I'm really excited to hear about your comments. Do you still play this today? Let me know down below. I respond to absolutely every comment. I love the interaction on the channel. Always making new content. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.